Hey y'all, we're making con today. First of all, do not hate me. I've never watched Bleach before in my life. Somebody suggested this to me on Instagram and I was like, looks cute, why not? And I made this one and it took me a couple of hours. The only thing is that there's just a ton of pieces that you need to make separately and you need to assemble separately. But other than that, it's really fun. And this is my very first YouTube tutorial, y'all. So I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. So if you know what I should be doing, any feedback, good or bad, please let me know because I do want to get better at making tutorials for you guys. So without any further ado, you're gonna need a bunch of yarn. Definitely gonna need yellow, a little bit of pink for the ear and the mouth, cream color for these little details, and you can definitely get an actual button if you want to, but I decided not to. I feel like not everybody has buttons, so I'm definitely one of them. Then we need like the secondary color, this brown color. You're gonna need some safety eyes, and this is optional, but you can also get some embroidery floss for these details over here. So I used brown on here and black over there, so you can get this at a craft store and it's only like 69 cents or something like that. But if you don't have that, you can just use a regular yarn, and also blue for the back, and brown for the mane. Some scissors. I'm using a 3mm hook on 8/4 yarn here, tapestry needle, and a stitch marker. First thing you want to do is do a magic circle. If you don't know how to work a magic circle, I recommend you to look for a YouTube video that specifically focuses on that. I'm just going to quickly do it. Crisscross, and then I turn, and then I put my hook under here, and then over, and then I pull, and then I take that yarn over here, and then I do a chain. And that is the magic circle. And then now for the very first round, we're actually going to do 6 single crochets, and just a note here, I'm doing a yarn under instead of a yarn over method. So instead of doing a yarn over like that when I'm doing my single crochets, I'm doing a yarn under. So it just makes the stitches a bit tighter. Honestly, you can do whatever you want, but in here I will be doing a yarn under, so don't be confused by that. So I'm going to go through the hole, do a yarn under, and then yarn over, and pull through both loops. So I'm going to do that 5 more times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you should end up with 6 single crochets on the first round. Let's move on to the second round. So for the second round, you're actually going to do an increase on each of the 6 stitches from the previous round. So my next stitch is over here, so this is the first stitch from the previous round. Increase is just essentially putting 2 single crochets on the 1 single crochet from the previous round. So I'm gonna do 1, and then on the same stitch 2. I'm gonna put a single crochet on the I'm gonna put a stitch marker on the very first stitch from round 2 so that I know where to stop. So that's 1 increase over there. So you want to do an increase on the other 5 single crochets from the previous round. So this one is next one. I'm gonna do an increase, and then the next one I'm going to do another increase, so just 2 single crochets on the same stitch. And by the end of this round, you should have 12 single crochets. There you go. And then so let's move on to the third round, and the third round is essentially just 1 single crochet and then an increase. So 1 single crochet here, so basically just put 1 single crochet stitch, and then on the next stitch you do an increase. So you put 2 single crochets on this 1 stitch, right? So I'm gonna take out my stitch marker. I'm gonna do this. So 1 single crochet to occupy 1 stitch, and then on the next stitch I'm gonna do an increase. So 1, 2, that, and then I'm just going to continue that pattern of 1 single crochet and an increase until the end of the round. And by the end of this round, you should have 18 stitches. And then now, what round is this? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're gonna go on round 4, and round 4 is almost the same as the previous round. It's just 2 stitches and then 1 increase. So it would be, so let me just put the first stitch on that round. So 1, and then on the next stitch 2, and then on the third stitch I'm gonna do an increase like that. So see, 2 single crochets and then 1 increase. So you want to do that repetition. So the 2 single crochet, 1, 2, and increase. So the 2 single crochet and 1 increase, and then you just want to repeat that, and by the end of the round you're going to have 24 stitches. Okay, now we're going to go on round 5. So round 5 is again very similar. So it's going to be 3 single crochets, and on the 4th stitch is going to be an increase. So 1, so I just did my first one there, and then 2, 3, and then increase. So you're just going to repeat that 3 single crochets and then an increase until the end of the round, and you'll end up with 30 single crochets. Okay, so we're going on to round 6. So round 6 is similar once again. So you're going to do 4 single crochets and then an increase. So let me just put one of these in here and then do 4. So I just did 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an increase. And then you just want to repeat that 4 single crochets and an increase until the round, and you should end up with 36 stitches. So I'm at the end of the round. So we're going on round 7 now, and it's going to be similar once again. So it's going to be 5 single crochet and then an increase, and by the end of this round you should have 42 stitches. So I just did 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you want to do an increase on the 6th stitch. So you probably noticed that it's a bit of like a hexagon at this point, which is completely normal, because whenever you do an increase you're actually creating a corner, and there's ways around it, which is to like stagger your stitches. But like honestly, once you add like thickness or height, you can like barely see the hexagon origins. So yeah, that is if you're concerned about that, but if you're not, just keep going. Okay, so we finished round 7, and now we're going to round 6, and this is going to be our last increase row, so rejoice, I think. So it's going to be 6 single crochet and an increase. So it will be 1, start with 1, the stitch marker there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then increase. And by the end of this row you should have 48 single crochet stitches. Okay, so we're now at the end of round 8, so we're going to go through round 9 through round 16 with just a single crochet on all of the stitches. So how many rounds is that? That's like 8 rounds. So you're just going to do 8 rounds where you're just going to do a single crochet stitch on every stitch that you have in the previous row. So that should be very easy, right? Sure, when you're doing all this, you're counting your stitches. I mean, obviously I should have said to count your stitches from the very beginning, but I use this like stop
stopwatch looking thing. It's not a stopwatch, it's a, I don't know, a counter. I don't know, when people use it to run and stuff and then they just count how many things are having. I don't know, I'm just making that up, but it makes like a really satisfying sound when you click on it. So yeah, we're just gonna do 8 rounds of just doing a single crochet on each of the stitches, and for every single round you're gonna have 48 stitches. So I'll meet you back when I'm on the end of round 16. So I'm at the end of round 16, so let's continue on with round 17. So for round 17 it's going to be 4 single crochets and 1 decrease. So if you don't know what a decrease is, let me just show you real quick. So 4 single crochets, 1 2 3 4, and then I'm gonna do a decrease, and a decrease is essentially just making 2 single crochets from the previous round into just 1 single crochet. That's how you eventually just close up the amigurumi. So I'm going to actually do an invisible decrease, and I recommend that you do that too, because an invisible decrease would help you make sure that the polyfill doesn't show through. Well, it doesn't show through as obviously. Oh, and also another note is that when I'm doing my invisible decreases, I'm actually going to do the yarn under method instead of the yarn over. So that's what I'm going to be showing you. So what you want to do is insert it into the front loop only of the next available stitch. So instead of doing it like this, where you insert it on both of the front loop and the back loop, you're just going to do the front loop, and then you're going to go on the next stitch and do another front loop only without doing anything else in between. And then after that you're going to do a yarn under, and you're going to pull through both loops, and you're going to do yarn over and pull through both loops again. So that's how you do a decrease. So you're going to do this repetition 7 more times for a total of 8 repetitions, and you'll end up with 40 single crochets. So I'm just going to do one more time for you guys. So 1 2 3 4, and then decrease. So pick that front loop and another front loop, and yarn under, pull through, and yarn over, pull through, and there you go. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep doing it until the end of the round. I am at the end of round 17, so now let's move on to round 18. And for round 18 it's going to be 2 single crochets and 1 decrease. So let me do that. 2 single crochets, so got 2 single crochets, and then do a decrease. And you're going to do this repetition 9 more times for a total of 10 repetitions until you have 30 single crochets. I'm at the end of round 18, so let's move on to round 19. And for round 19 it's actually just 1 single crochet and a decrease, and you're just gonna repeat that 9 more times for a total of 10 repetitions, and you'll end up with 20 single crochets at the end of this round. I'm at the end of round 19, so we'll begin round 20, and you should start noticing that the hole is getting tighter. And I'm actually not going to do the safety eyes or the stuffing just yet, because you'll see later, but let's just continue on with round 20 for now. So let's do round 20, and for round 20 we're actually going to do 3 single crochets and 1 decrease. So let's do that. So 3 single crochets, come on, 3 single crochets and 1 decrease, and we're going to repeat that repetition 3 more times for a total of 4, and at the end of the round we should end up with 16 single crochets. The end of my round 20, and yeah, the hole is really tight, but you'll definitely see why a little bit later. So don't worry, this is the last decrease that we're doing. So we're gonna start increasing so we can actually construct the body. Notice here that I'm actually connecting the body and the head from the get-go, so you're welcome. No more no sewing on this part. So but on round 21 we're going to be doing 1 single crochet and 1 increase, and we're going to repeat that 7 more times for a total of 8 repetitions, and we'll end up with 24 single crochets. So I'm at the end of round 21. So for round 22 and 23 we're going to be doing single crochet all round with no increases or decreases, and that is for 2 rounds. So for rounds 22 and 23 we're going to be doing single crochets, and for each round we'll have 24 single crochets. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 23. So on round 24 we'll do another increase, so it's going to be 2 single crochets and 1 increase, and we'll do that repetition 8 times, and we'll end up with 32 single crochets at the end of the round. So yeah, so get 1, 2, and then increase, and yeah, just keep doing that until the end of the round. I've ended with my round 24, so I'm going to do rounds 25 and 26, and for both rounds it's just going to be no increases or decreases, so it's just going to be regular single crochets on both of those rounds, and for each round you'll have 32 stitches. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 26, and I promise we're doing the safety eyes and the stuffing soon, right after this next round actually. So I'm gonna start on round 27, and so I'm gonna tell you the reason why I haven't been doing the stuffing and the safety eyes yet, because I'm gonna like add a belly to Con, and I think it's just a cute addition to his body. So I'm going to add like a little like bulge for his belly, and what we're gonna do is we're going to do 2 single crochets and an increase, and we're going to repeat that 4 times. Okay, so not until the end of the round. So let me just do that. So it's going to be so it's going to be 2 single crochets and increase, and we're going to repeat that set 3 more times for a total of 4. So not until the end of the round. I think it's going to be like halfway through or something like that. So I did 1, so I'm going to have to do like 3 more. So that's 2 repetitions, and then that's 3, and that's 4. No idea how I've been like counting and talking at the same time, but it works. Okay, so as you can see, there's like a little well, maybe you can't see it at this point, but like this should add that little like belly bump, and so after that repetition you're actually going to do a single crochet on the rest of the round, and that would be 20 single crochets on the rest of the round, and by the end of the round you'll have 36 single crochets. Now, as promised, we'll do the safety eyes and the stuffing. So so I'm waiting for the belly to be done first before doing all of that, so that I can actually align the eyes and the belly. So that's the reason why, really. Okay, so remember that the belly was like over around here, so it should be around like 16 stitches or something like that. So if you really like want to count it out, 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 1 2 3 4 5 6. So that's the end of the belly increase. So I'm actually gonna put a stitch marker there just so that I know where the belly is, so I can center the eyes accordingly. So these 2 points are where the belly is. So I'm going to insert the safety eyes in between rounds 11 and 12. So if you count from the top here, so the center is 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then so it should be right here. And so I'm just doing that just so that I can tell which row I should be putting my safety eyes in. And then so the safety eyes should also be 6 stitches apart. So with knowing where the belly is and where the line is, you just kind of guesstimate where the eyes would be, like that. Okay, it's kind of looking really crazy right now. Okay, so let's see, so that's where vertically should be. So horizontally I think I only have like 5 stitches in between, so I'm actually gonna offset that, and so that I have 6 stitches. Ta-da. And yeah, it kind of looks crazy right now. And I also I mean, preferably you'd be using the black safety eyes, but I only have the green safety eyes right now. So yeah, I ran out of materials, but it looks like I correctly aligned the eyes and the belly. So I'm actually going to lock the placement, so I'm gonna put that inside out and then just do one of those, just lock it in. The other one as well. It should now look better if we add stuffing on there. Nice that the hole is this point very small, so you're just gonna have to like push all of the stuffing through just to make sure that it goes through all of the space that is on the head. And now I'm gonna put some of my trash over here, so don't mind me. You do want to stuff it quite firmly and make sure that I get it over under here. I think that should do it. Yeah, it's like you sometimes you don't want to overstuff it, and you definitely do not want to understuff it. But I think it holds its shape like this. Okay, and now that it doesn't look like a rag doll anymore, let's continue on with the belly. And I'm gonna get rid of like the second stitch marker so that it doesn't confuse me. So we're at the round we were at the end of round 27, so we will go to round 28 and 29. And actually for those 2 rounds it's just going to be no increases or decreases, and it's just going to be a single crochet throughout. So I'll meet you back at round 29, and for each round 28 and 29 you'll have 36 single crochets. So meet you back at the end of round 29. I am at the end of round 29, and you should be able to see the belly kind of like being a little bit more obvious. It will definitely a little bit more obvious once we do some decreases. Speaking of which, we're going to do some decreases. So we're going to begin with round 30, and for round 30 we're going to be doing 4 single crochets and 1 decrease, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. And we'll have 30 single crochets at the end of this round. So let me just show you that one time. So 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets, and we're gonna do a decrease, and that's it. And I'm gonna repeat that 5 more times. I'm at the end of round 30, so round 31 it's going to be 3 single crochets and decrease. That repetition is going to happen for 6 times, and at the end of this round you should have 24 single crochets. So let me just do that one time. 1, 2, 3, and then decrease. There you go. So I'll meet you back at the end of this round. We're at the end of round 31, so let's begin with round 32. Actually, before that, we definitely should start stuffing because the hole is getting smaller. Let's put some stuffing in there. And might might need more stuffing once we keep going, but I think that's enough for now. Now we are going to start round 32, and round 32 is just 2 single crochets and a decrease. So let's do that. So it's going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and it's going to be repeated 6 times, and we're going to end up with 18 single crochets at the end of this round. And I am at the end of round 32, so let's begin round 33, and we're so close to being done. And it's just round 33, it's just going to be 1 single crochet and 1 decrease, and we're going to repeat that 6 times, and at the end of the round we'll have 12 single crochets. So I'm at the end of round 33, and we'll only have 1 more round to go. And before we do that round, do all your stuffing finalizations. What? Finalize your stuffing. What am I talking about? Yeah, so just make sure you stuff at like the corners. I always fall down this mistake of like not stuffing it enough, like at the bottom. Like you definitely like want to like, oh, I got a hair. If I want to like stuff it on like the corner like that, so that like when we close it up we do still have stuffing like on the bottom. Sure, we got some stuffing on the bottom there, and I think I'm pretty satisfied with how this is looking out. Yeah, and when you're stuffing on the bottom, just make sure that it does make this like shape over here, because otherwise it's gonna look understuffed and that's gonna suck. Okay, and then now we'll be on round 34, the last and final round, and we're just going to be doing decreases. So we're just going to decrease 6 times, and at the end of this round we'll have 6 single crochet. So just do decrease, and I'm gonna do that 5 more times. Ta-da! We're almost done. We just need to close it up. And so what I like to do when I close things up is that I cut and I give it a little bit of length. I give it a bit of length like that, and then I just pull it like that, and you'll just have like this long strand. And then now grab your embroidery needle, pull it through, and then so what I do is that I just go through like the front loop only on all of these stitches. So this is like the next available stitch, so I'll just go through the front loop only, and then the next one, front loop only, front loop only, and yeah, do that like 6 times basically, because that's how many stitches we ended up. And after that, once you've done that 6 times, you just pull that and it should like close really nicely. And then what I like to do is that I just like to put it through like the center hole, and then like try to pull it through like somewhere that's kind of like the opposite direction of where like this little bulge is happening, so that when I pull it, it gets rid of the bulge. Hope you can see that. There you go. And then now what I like to do is I just put the yarn like somewhere and then just pull it through again. Just make sure that the yarn is secure and it's not going to unravel by accident. Honestly, I've never really had that happen before where the yarn just unravels by accident, so this is just a precaution. And make sure that when you're doing that, you're not doing it so tightly, because otherwise like you're accidentally going to shape your amigurumi in the wrong way. So I just like to do it like 2 or 3 times. If I'm feeling like it, I'll do it 3 times, but if I'm not, I'm doing it 2. So today I'm not feeling like it, so I'm just gonna do it 2 times, and just gonna cut like that, and then make sure I put the yarn in there. So you got the body little con here.
Continuing on, I would like to thank our sponsor, myself. Who do you think is going to sponsor one of these videos, right? But I'm not joking when I said I sponsored my own video, which means it would really help me out if you could give this video a like, or subscribe to this channel, or comment on this video if you like it or if you hate it. Whatever it is, I'm so glad that you're here and you're following my tutorial. Consider following me on Instagram at the same name, at StimmyStimStim. Bye! Enjoy!
So this is a hand that I made beforehand. Yeah, so this hand is gonna be, we're gonna start from the bottom here with like a brown color, and then after that we're gonna do a bunch of well, 3 what's called bobble stitches. I'm going to explain to you how to do it in just a bit, and then it's just going to decrease, and then it ends up in this like roll right here, so that you can like attach it to whatever position that you want. A brown colored yarn, and we're gonna start once again with a magic circle. There you go. And so we're gonna start once again with 6 single crochets in the magic circle. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Get 6 single crochets in there. And for the second round, we're going to do an increase on each of the single crochets. So we're going to end up with 12 single crochets at the end of round 2. My stitch marker on the first round there for the first stitch there, and I'm gonna do an increase. Then third stitch, and fourth, fifth, and sixth. So that's 6 increases with a total of 12 stitches. And then now what we're gonna do, since we want to make that little like, oops, just dropped all my stitch markers. Since we want to make that like kind of like bend, so this is the base and it bends like that, we're gonna do a back loop only. We're gonna do insert or hook only into the back loop. So instead of doing this normally, you wanna insert it in the back loop only. And when you do this back loop only, it'll actually help create that like bending shape. So just need to do all the back loops without any increases or decreases, and you'll end up with 12 stitches on the back loop only. I'm done with all my back loop only stitches except for the last stitch, because I'm actually going to switch to a color, and this time it's going to be to this like white / cream color, and this is where we're going to begin with the nails. So right before you do the last like yarn over on your very last stitch, I'm just gonna cut it like that, and then I'm gonna use this white yarn and do a pull through, and then I'm just gonna like tie it on the back. And this is how you do like a color change, by the way. So I'm just gonna tie it twice, and then now we're gonna do 3 consecutive bobble stitches. Okay, so I'll show you how to do bobble stitch. So you want to do yarn over, insert to your next available stitch, and then you do yarn over, and then pull through, and now you have 3 loops on your hook. Now you want to yarn over again and insert into the same exact stitch where you inserted it the first time. Yarn over, pull through, and now you should have 5 loops on your hook, and you want to do that once more. So yarn over, insert to the same exact stitch where you had it before, and then yarn over, pull through. You should have like what, 7? Yeah, it should be 7. It's really hard to see with this yarn, but it's 7. And then you want to yarn over, and pull through all 7 stitches. And there you go, you have your very first bobble stitch. And then now you want to do it again on the next stitch. So you do a yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, insert again on the very same stitch, yarn over, pull through. Again, you'd have 5 loops in your hook, and then one more time, yarn over, pull, insert in the same stitch, yarn over, pull through. You have 7, yarn over, and pull through all 7. There you go, and you have your very second one. And then we just need to do it one last time. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next little stitch, yarn over, pull through. You have 3, yarn over, insert to the same exact stitch, yarn over, pull through. You have 5, and then one more time, yarn over, insert your hook, and then yarn over, pull through, and you should have 7. And then on the very last one, you don't actually yarn over with the white yarn. You're actually going to continue with the yellow yarn. So this is the color change once again. Use the yellow yarn, and then you pull through all 7 with the yellow yarn. And there you go, and you have your color change. And then at this point, you can also cut your white cream yarn and tie it with the yellow yarn, like so. And you just continue with the yellow yarn from now on. So these 3 bobble stitches occupy 3 stitches. So now you want to do the rest of the round with a single crochet. So you should be doing 9 single crochets on the rest of the round. And there you go. So that's the end of round 4 there. So now I'm going to continue from round 6 to round 8. From round 6 to round 8, all you need to do is just to do a regular single crochet, and that will result in you having 12 single crochets on each of those rounds. And you're going to do it from round 5 to round 8 once again, and that should be like 4 rounds. So I'll meet you back once I have finished round 8. Okay, I'm at the end of row 8, and then now I'm going to continue on to row 9. And then we want to do 4 stitches and a decrease, and you do that repetition twice. So let me do that quickly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, and then another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, and that is your round 9. And now for round 10, you want to do a single crochet all round. Oh, by the way, on round 9, that was 10 stitches in total. So now for round 10, you're going to do single crochet 10 times for a total of 10 single crochets. So okay, and then so that's round 10. And then now for the last round, it's just 3 and decrease. So 3 single crochets like so, and then decrease. And then you want to do that repetition twice. So I'm just gonna do that like one more time. Decrease. Okay. Okay, and then now here comes like the customization part. Okay, so it is now the next day. Hopefully the lighting didn't change too much, but yeah, this is a multi-day effort to do one of these videos. So this is the end of round 11. So I did stuff the arm off camera with some polyfill, and make sure that you're not like stuffing too much, just stuff like focus primarily on this part right here just to give it that shape, and not too much on here, because what we're gonna do is we're going to fold it in half and we're going to single crochet on the stitches that are facing each other. So by the end of this round you should have 8 single crochets, meaning that if you fold it in half you should have 4 pairs, right? So as an example, so the next available stitch for me would be this one. So this one should be facing this one. So that's one pair, and then the next pair would be these and these and these, right? So you'd end up with full single crochets once you stitch the opposite single crochets together. But here's the thing. This is a bit of customization that you can do. Do it like this. That means the arm would end up like this. And if you want to pose your amigurumi in a certain way, you'd want the nails or the claws to align in a certain way. So I do want to make it look like it's like pointing over there. So this doesn't look that bad, but I kind of want the claws to be a little bit like this. So in order to do that, let's see. So you can see that this working yarn is not on the very right of where I want it to be. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make it so that it ends up over here. So it looks like I need to do 2 single crochets so that the working yarn would end up over here. So let's do that. And voila, so it ends up on the very right like this. And then so just testing it out, it looks like it's where exactly that I want it to be. This is where you can customize it. Like, you don't have to add these extra stitches if you want it in a certain pose, but if you don't really care and just you just want to do what I do, so it's 2 extra crochet stitches for his right arm. Yeah, and it's on his right. So I'm gonna just crochet, single crochet on the stitches that are opposite to each other. So I should end up with 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And just to double check again that this is the configuration that I want. So it looks like this is perfect. So the last thing I want to do is to fasten up. What you want to do is to cut the yarn, but make sure you leave quite a long tail. So I already pre-cut the yarn actually. So you go ahead and cut your yarn, and then you chain 1, and then you pull through, and just pull through everything, and you got your very first arm. So I actually already made another arm like this. So for this one, so for his what's left arm, yeah, so for his left arm I actually wanted to do it like this. Like, I want his hand to like go back a little bit. So so I made his claws like align like this. So for this one I actually added 1 extra single crochet stitch in order to achieve this this claw configuration to be over here. So the game plan here is, see, it's kind of like similar how we did the hand. So you can see like it starts off from this base, and then it bends, and then it creates like this height. And if you notice, there's also like a little bit of like slant here on the front of the leg. So I made it this way. I didn't just like make it straight like that, because I did want to add like a little bit of like a leg shape. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know, I just kind of like it this way. So let's go ahead and make this one. Similarly to the hand, we're going to start with a magic ring for the legs. There you go. And then for here we want to start with 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you will have 6 single crochets for this round. So this is round 1. Now we're going to continue on to round 2. So for round 2, we're going to increase on all of the stitches. So for one single stitch, I'm putting 1 stitch, and then I'm going to insert another stitch on the same stitch that we had before. And there you go. So 2 single crochets on the stitch that we had from the previous round. So we're just going to keep doing that. And once you're done with this second round, you should end up with 12 single crochets. Okay, so that's the end of round 2. So for round 3, we're going to do 1 single crochet and an increase and repeat that repetition. So you do 1 single crochet and then you increase. And you're going to repeat that sequence for 6 times total. So I'm going to do 5 more of those, and at the end of this round you should end up with 18 single crochets. Okay, so that's the end of round 3. So we're going to start on round 4. So on round 4 we're going to start to do the bend. So for round 4 we're actually going to do single crochet on all the back loop only. So instead of doing that like how you would normally do a single crochet, you want to do just the back loop, and then yarn under, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and you're just going to repeat that single crochet on the back loop only in a total of 18 times, and you should end up with 18 single crochets on the back loops. So I'm at round 4, so we're actually going to begin changing colors now. So I'm actually going to undo this a little bit. So undo that very last stitch, and then just do and still on the back loop, do a yarn over and pull through, and then instead of yarning over and pulling through again, I'm going to use my yellow color. And this is going to be a bit tricky because for a brief moment here, we're going to be working with 2 yarn colors at the same time. So if you're not used to doing that, don't worry about it. So I'm going to cut the brown, and then I'm going to tie it. Like so. And that is my round 4. So now we switch to yellow, and we'll begin with round 5. So this is probably going to be the most complicated one you'll ever do. It's not super complicated, but if you're not used to it, it's a bit complicated. So on round 5, start with 2 single crochets, just regular single crochets. So you got 2 of them, and then make sure you put your stitch marker there. So we start with 2 of them, and now you want to use white on the next one so you can make a claw. So I'm actually gonna undo this one so that I can switch color, and then yarn over using that cream color, and now you have switched to white. And then do not cut off the yellow one because we're still going to be using it. And this is where it gets a bit tricky if you're not used to it. So what you want to do here is do a bobble stitch on the next available stitch, on the 3rd stitch that is. So it's going to be the same type of bobble stitch that you did for your hand, but I'm going to show you again just in case. So what you want to do is yarn over, insert your hook to the next available stitch, yarn over, pull through, and you should have 3 loops on your hook. And then now you want to yarn over again, insert into the same stitch that you inserted to before, yarn over, pull through, you should have 5. And then now you want to yarn over, insert into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, now you have 7. Now for the very last move that we're going to do. So normally we would yarn over and pull through all 7 loops on the hook, but instead of using the white one, we're actually going to yarn over the yellow one that we didn't cut, and then yarn over and pull through. There you go. And then so you have a claw, and then now you've also switched to the yellow color. And then now for the next stitch, so for the 4th stitch, we're going to do a single crochet into the next available stitch. So insert, yarn under, pull through, and then now we're actually going to switch to white again. So grab your white, and then yarn over, pull through, And now you have one single crochet that is yellow, and then now you've also switched to the color cream. So now we want to do another bobble stitch. So yarn over, insert to the next available stitch, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, insert into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through. You have 5 loops. One more time, yarn over, insert to the same stitch, yarn over, pull through. You have 7. And then now, instead of yarning over and pulling through all 7, you want to switch to the color yellow, yarn over, and pull through all 7 with the yellow. And that's your second claw. And then we're gonna make one more claw, and this will all be over, I promise. So we got yellow, so we want to do a single crochet on the next one. So a single crochet normally, insert your hook, yarn over, yarn under, pull through, and instead of yarning over and pulling through, we're going to switch to the color yellow one last time. It's going to be the last one, and you got that. And then now we're going to do our very last bobble stitch. So yarning over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, insert into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then we got 5 loops. And then one more time, yarn over, insert into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through. And now we have 7. And then now for the very last time, we're going to yarn over with the color yellow, yarn over and pull through all 7. And there you go. And then at this point, you can definitely cut the cream color. You don't need that anymore. With the color yellow, you can single crochet on all of the remaining stitches that you have. Looks like there should be 11 single crochets, so just do 11 more single crochets with the color yellow until you've reached the end of the round. And by the end of this round, you should have a total of 18 stitches, and 3 of them being the bobble stitches. All right, so we're done with round 5. So for round 6 and round 7, we're actually just going to do single crochets with a total of 18 single crochets per round. So do that for round 6 and round 7, which is just 2 rounds, and I'll meet you back on round 7. Hey, I'm at the end of round 7, so now for round 8, we're going to begin doing that decrease for that toe looking thing. So we're actually going to do a decrease just on the area where we have the claw, but no decreases on the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 single crochets and a decrease, and repeat that sequence 2 times. So let's just begin with that. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're doing a decrease. And then another 1, 2, 3, and decrease. And we're not going to do that repetition until the end of the round, so we're going to be doing 8 single crochets for the rest of the stitches that are available. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that's round 8. So for the next 3 rounds, from round 9 to round 11, we're just going to do a regular single crochet on all of it, on all of the stitches that we have. We will have 16 stitches on each of those rounds. So I'll meet you back when I am at the end of round 11. Okay, now I'm at the end of round 11. So for round 12, we're going to do something similar to what we had to round 8. So we're going to decrease again, but only on the front. So we're going to do 2 single crochets and decrease, and we will repeat that twice. So 2 single crochet and decrease, and another 2 single crochet and decrease, and we're going to single crochet on the rest of the stitches that we have. So that is 8 stitches. 8. So at the end of this round, you should have 14 single crochet stitches. And then now for round 13, we're actually going to do a decrease all round. So we're gonna do a 1 and then decrease 4 times. So 1, I just did 1 and then decrease. And then I'm gonna do that 3 more times. Decrease, then 1, decrease, and then 1 more, decrease, and you should have 2 stitches left, and there you're just going to do a single crochet on both of those stitches. So at the end of this round you should have 11 stitches. It's the end of round 13. So now we're going to do round 14, and for this round 14 it's a bit different.
Hi, editing me here. So when I was editing this video and looking back at what I made, I decided I wanted to change this last part. So you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to change anything, just continue on. So I'm gonna do the very last round with you. I'm going to do a 6 half double crochet and leave the other stitches unworked. So let's just do 6 half double crochets. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through all 3. So just do that 5 more times. It's 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's it. And what I like to do is I just like to slip stitch into the next available stitch and cut your yarn and pull through. I unfortunately have a very short tail end here, so that's my problem, but make sure you have a long one so you can actually sew it.
So I already have 2, so you're gonna have to make another one, but the last step that we need to do is just to like stuff it. And similar to the last one, you really do not want to overstuff this one. Try to focus on the toe right there. And for this one, you kind of want to make sure that you're not like overstuffing the toe either, because you want to make sure that it could like actually stand up, if you want to make it stand up, that is. But if you don't, that's fine. So for me, I want to make sure that it's completely flat on the bottom so that it could actually stand up, and that requires not overstuffing the toes. So how I'm going to position this is I'm going to put one in front, something like that, and then one in the back so that it looks like it's like kind of like posing a little bit. Obviously this is up to you, like if you want to like make it like sit down, I feel like that would work too. Yeah, go wild. Okay, so we're gonna do the ears now. So it's gonna be this triangular shape, and you're gonna need your yellow and pink yarn ready. With yellow, do your magic circle once again, and then we're going to start with 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, and then now we're going to immediately switch to the color pink. So I'm gonna undo the second part of that very last stitch and insert the color pink like that. And then on the next available stitch, which is the beginning of round 2, I'm gonna do an increase. That. And then we're gonna immediately switch to the color yellow. And then we're gonna do a single crochet on the rest of the round. So that should be 7 single crochets. And by the end of this round, you should have 9 single crochets in total, and 2 of them are pink. Okay, this is at the end of my round 2, and if you notice, I'm not using a stitch marker because the pink is a dead giveaway of the start of the next round. So on the very last stitch, I'm gonna change to color pink. And then over here, I'm gonna start with a single crochet, and then on the next stitch, I'm gonna do an increase. And switch back to the color yellow. and single crochet on the rest of the 7 stitches. So by the end of this round, you should have 10 single crochets, and 3 of them are pink. Okay, so we're gonna move on to our very last round, which is round 4. On the very last stitch of round 3, I'm going to switch color to pink, and then I'm gonna do a 1 single crochet, and then an increase, like that, and then 1 single crochet on the next one, and I'm gonna switch color at the end of that stitch to yellow, and then on the next stitch I'm going to do an increase with the yellow, and then I'm going to continue that 1 single crochet and increase on the rest of the row. So I should be doing that like 3 more times. So at the end of this row you should have 15 single crochets, and 4 of them would be pink. So I'm just gonna do that with you again. So 1, and then increase, and then 1, and another increase, and then 1, and another increase. Okay, and so that's the end of round 4. And then so now in order to fasten off, what I like to do is I like to do a slip stitch to the next available stitch, which in this case is the pink one. Do a slip stitch. For a slip stitch, you just insert into the next available stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over once again. So that is a slip stitch, and this is just to make fasten off point doesn't bulge as much. So I'm going to cut that and I'm just going to pull through everything, and you can see that it kind of like aligns it a little bit. It just makes it a little bit better. And at this point you can also just cut your pink and all that. And I do not stuff my ear just because like it's already like super small, and there's like a good amount of yarn that I can use as stuffing. So I'm just gonna cut off the excess. And you can see that there's like this much yarn, so I'm just gonna use that as stuffing, just like that. And at this point you should have both of your ears ready. The snout is a bit complicated. It's actually just 3 separate pieces. So you got 1 here, 1 there, and 1 here. So I am going to start with this mouthpiece right here. So get your cream and your pink out. We're actually going to start working from the center and then outwards. So we're going to start with pink, and you want to begin with a slip knot here instead of a magic circle. So a slip knot. And if you don't know how to do a slip knot, I would recommend going to a YouTube video that focuses on slip knots. Just because I know how to do it doesn't mean I can explain it the best. So I feel like that's the better option here. Slip knot, and then we're doing chain 3. And then we want to insert a single crochet on the second chain from the hook. So this is right here, this is the first chain from the hook. Now this is the second, so you want to insert it over here. So single crochet, and then if this is the first time you're doing this, I'd recommend stitch marker. And then so next we want to do another single crochet into the next chain. So we have 2 single crochets like this. And now we want to rotate our work, so we have something like this. And then we insert into the same space that we inserted earlier, but we kind of want to calibrate it so that the stitch is kind of facing this way. And then now you want to rotate again, and then essentially now we're like on the other side of that chain 3, so we should see these chain 2s visible. So you want to insert into that chain like that, and then we'll insert to the next chain again. So you'd end up with 5 single crochets at this point, And remember that this is where you started. Right at this point, it kind of looks like a U. So you started from here, you ended over here. So it looks like a U, but I want to like close it up. So on the same exact space on where you inserted before, I'm going to do another single crochet so that it makes like this round type of thing. Okay, and then now we want to switch color. So I unravel halfway and then I switch color like this, and then at this point I can cut the pink and I have something like this. And then the next thing I'm going to do is start round 2. So that was round 1. It's very complicated, but round 2 is a bit easier. So insert into that next available stitch and do a single crochet. So that's the beginning of our round 2. And then on the next stitch you want to do an increase like that. And then on the next stitch you want to do a single crochet. Next stitch you want to do another increase. Lastly you just do another single crochet. And you end up with this U looking thing. It's supposed to look something like that. So it's kind of looking creepy right now because like there's no nose, but like trust me, it's going to look a bit better. So last thing we need to do is to fasten it off. So I like to do another slip stitch into the next available stitch and then just cut that and pull. End up with something like that. Now we're going to want to make the snout. So this is what the snout looks like, and we're going to start with a magic circle once again. Okay, and then now we want to start with 6 single crochets into that magic circle. Now we have 6, and then the next thing we want to do is to increase on each of the stitches. So we want to increase 6 times, and at the end of this round 2 we're gonna have 12 single crochets. Okay, so that's the end of round 2. So for round 3 it's just going to be a single crochet all around. So we're gonna single crochet 12 times, and at the end of this round we should have 12 single crochets. Okay, so that's it for the snout really. And then at the end of this round 3, what I like to do is I like to slip stitch into the next available stitch just so that it doesn't have that little bulge. Cut the working yarn and then just pull, and there you go. And I also don't stuff this snout part just because like the yarn from the magic circle is still there, so I'm just gonna use that as stuffing. I mean, you can definitely add more stuffing if you want, but I think this is enough for me. We definitely now have the mouth or the snout or whatever, and that is a lot of work, but trust me, it's gonna look so good. The most tedious part probably, because you're gonna need to make 7 of these, so 7 triangles, and then we're just going to put it all over the head. And we're gonna start with a magic circle once again, and we're going to begin with 8 single crochets on this magic circle. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So got 8 over there. And then now we're going to, on the second row, we're going to do a 1 single crochet and an increase, and we're going to repeat that 4 times. So single crochet, and increase, and then single crochet and increase, and you're gonna do it for a total of 4 times, and at the end of this row you should end up with 12 single crochets. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 2, so for round 3 we're just gonna do a single crochet all round. So at the end of round 3 we should have 12 single crochets. Okay, so you can tell that the triangle is forming a little bit. And then next for round 4, we're going to do 2 single crochet and an increase, and we're going to repeat that 4 times, and at the end of round 4 we should end up with 16 single crochets. So 1, 2, increase. So I'm at the end of round 4. So on round 5 we're just going to do a single crochet on each of the stitches. So we're going to do a single crochet 16 times, and at the end of round 5 we'll end up with 16 single crochets. I'm at the end of round 5, and from here what I like to do is I just slip stitch into the next available stitch and fasten off. Oh, gotta cut that yarn first, and make sure you leave long tail for sewing. And you got that, and you got your one of your main. So now the tedious part is you'll need to make 6 more of these, and a total of 7 little triangles, and I'll meet you back once I have done all my 7. Well, it's night now, and then I have my 7 mains ready, and I swear it didn't take me the whole day to make all these mains. It's just because I went to the dog park for like 2 hours, and it was fun. Nice break from crocheting, and then now I'm back. I just kind of want to do a check-in just to make sure that we have the body parts that are needed. So obviously you're gonna need 7 of these triangles. Just make sure I am counting right. Yeah, the body for sure, the 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 ears, the multi-part mouth. Very complicated procedure over here. Yeah, it's kind of looking like a teardrop, which is correct. Okay, it's kind of looking like boobs, and you know what? But no, it's a mouth. The last 2 things that we're gonna need to make: tail and the button. So I'm actually going to crochet the button because I'm too cheap to buy actual buttons. For the tail, it's actually going to be super simple. So you start again with a magic circle, like so, and then you're going to put 6 single crochets into that magic circle. Okay, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then now for the tail, really, it's just single crochet 6 times on every single round. No increases, no decreases. You're just gonna have to keep doing 6 single crochets on every round until you get the length that you want. So from here, I don't really count how many rounds I'm gonna have to do. I just kind of like eye it and then see if that's like the length of the tail that I want. And also I just don't like removing the stitch marker and putting the stitch marker back on. I mean, yeah, I know that there's ways to get around that, but I'm too lazy to do that also. So I'm just gonna keep doing single crochets until I get the length of the tail that I want. And if you would like an actual number, on the con that I did previously, it's 17 rows. So if you want to do 17 rows of 6 single crochets, I'm just gonna keep single crocheting until I reach the length that I want. So I'll meet you back when I'm done with the tail. Okay, so I'm at the end of my round where I want my tail to be like. So this tail isn't as long as the first one that I made because I got lazy. And it really doesn't matter how long your tail is, so don't worry. So I encourage you to do whatever creativity that you want. So I'm just gonna cut a long tail for sewing, and then just gonna pull. If you want to do a slip stitch, you can do that, but since it's like a tail on the back, it doesn't really show, so I don't really care that much. So see how it looks like if you're not using a slip stitch? See that like bump? So that's why for like the showy parts, like, you know, a snout or the mane, that's where I like to do the slip stitch to make the seam a bit more invisible. And then so there's another optional thing that you can do with the tail, is that you can add pipe cleaners. So if you just insert the pipe cleaner through this hole, by the way, we're not stuffing this because obviously it's too tiny to stuff anyways, but you can add pipe cleaner so that you can actually like bend it like in an interesting way. I didn't add any pipe cleaners to this one, but like it looks like the yarn kind of like bends naturally. So I'm not gonna add pipe cleaners. If you do want to do that, you can definitely do that. Little like hair on there, so I just put 3 hairs just to make it interesting. For the tail hairs, I'm going to start with a slip knot, and I'm going to do 3 chains to begin with. 1, 2, 3, and that would be the base of like this tail hair right here. So that is the base, so that's 3 chains. So now we want to build height, right? So this height here, that would be an extra 4 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then next we want to half double crochet 3 times, starting from the second chain away from the hook. So this is the first chain, and that's the second chain, and we want to go into that one. So we do a half double crochet 3 times. So that's 1, 2, 3. Like that. We're going to do a slip stitch onto the next available stitch. So like this. And then you can see that we have like 3 chains left, like that. Now we want to start on the second hair, so we do another 4 chains. So that's 4 chains, and then we do half double crochet 3 times, starting from the second chain away from the hook. So again, not this one, but this one. So half double crochet, and 2, and 3. And then now we want to slip stitch into the next available stitch, like that. And then now you can see that we only have 1 chain left. My chain kind of looks weird here because I kind of twisted it in a weird way, but this is 1 chain left here. And then now for the last hair, I'm gonna do another 4 chain to add some height, and then I'm gonna half double crochet 3 times once more, again starting from the second chain away from the hook. Ta-da! And lastly, we want to slip stitch into the next available stitch, and that should be the very last stitch in your foundation chain. We have something like this, and it kind of looks weird right now because we're not like shaping it just yet, but so at this point you can just cut the yarn, do a chain just to secure it. So we have something like this. So later on we would attach it to the tail, well, to the tail like that. So let me just use my actual like dark colored one, so it looks like that. Alright, very last component that we need is just the button. So the button really is just quite literally a circle. So we're going to start with a magic circle, and then we're going to start with 6 single crochets on that magic circle. 4, 5, 6, like that. And then on the next round, round 2, we're just going to do an increase on all the stitches. So we're going to do an increase 6 times, and at the end of this round you should end up with 12 single crochets. Literally, that's it. The only different thing that I'm doing here now is I'm going to do what's called an invisible join. So an invisible join is when you join this very last stitch right here to the very first stitch that you made, and it's going to make it look more seamless, because whenever you do a slip stitch, it's kind of visible that you ended it there. So let me just give you an example. So normally you would want to do a slip stitch like that, which you can do, by the way. This is entirely up to you. So if you do a slip stitch, it's going to look something like that, right? But if you notice, you can see that there's kind of like a little tiny bump. I mean, I don't know, it's like a millimeter of a bump, so it's not super noticeable, but I think my sometimes perfectionist brain wants to make it even look even better. So so you can definitely just slip stitch and fasten off right here, and you'll be done with that. But I want to do the invisible join, so I'm going to just undo that slip stitch. And this is where I was at, right at the end of the round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the yarn and leave a long tail for sewing, obviously, and I'm just going to pull it without doing anything. Yep, just do that, and make sure you're not like pulling it tightly, just like leave it loose. And then now I take my embroidery needle, pull it through like that. And then now what I want to do is, so you can see that these are the next available stitch, right? So if you would have slip stitched, it would have slip stitched over here, but you want to skip that and you want to go to the second one. So just insert your yarn there and make sure to do it quite loose. You do not want to make this tight because otherwise it's going to look really weird. So it looks like that. And then we go back to the stitch where we came from, which was this. So this was the very last stitch of round 2. Now you want to do only insert on the back loop. Okay, do this, and then there you go. So you can see how it looks like it's just like a continuing chain to the chain right next to it, right? So no bumps, no nothing. So again, this is just something extra. You really do not have to do this, but well, you're basically done. And I wouldn't worry about these 2 lines on the button just yet, because I'm actually going to use it to sew in the button. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so I lied for saying that the button is the last piece that we need to make. I completely forgot that Con has this like back thing. Okay, so full disclosure, do not hate me. I've never watched Bleach, okay? So somebody just suggested Con to me and I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I do not know what this blue band is. Somebody tell me. This is very easy to make actually. So for the one that's like a horizontal, I just chain 18 and half double crochet 17 times, and for this one it's a chain 16 and I half double crochet 15 times. So let me just demonstrate how to make this one, and making this one should be pretty easy. I am making the vertical piece, so that would be 16 chains. So I'm going to start with a slip knot and chain 16. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 6 7 8 9 10 1 2 3 4 5 6. So I have a 16 chain over here like that, and then now I want to do just half double crochet all the way through. So you want to begin on the second chain away from your hook, so do half double crochet there and just keep half double crocheting until you've reached the end. And here I am at the end. So I've half double crocheted 15 times, and this is the vertical part. And then at the end I'm just going to cut a piece of yarn. So I'm actually going to hot glue gun this. There's just way too many pieces that we're sewing here, so I'm just gonna cut it a little bit there because I'm gonna hot glue gun it anyway. So I'm just gonna do that and yarn and then do a chain, and here I am. And then so you're gonna make the horizontal one, and that is 18 stitches, and similarly you would half double crochet all the way through, so it would be 17 half double crochets. And now we have all the pieces that we need for Con, and now we start sewing. So I think the first thing that I want to sew on is the mouth, because I want this to look like Con already, right? So this is the mouthpiece, and I'm actually going to try to secure the yarn as much as possible so that it doesn't unravel. I mean, like, once again, I've never actually had it unravel before, so like any of my amigurumi, but maybe that's because my dog is not like biting them or anything like that. So I'm just gonna like just tie it off and then just cut all the excess yarn so that it won't show at the very end of the day. And then you want to like just sew on this smile real quick. Have like these pins, definitely utilize them because it helps it not like move around when you're actually sewing this thing. So I do that. Grab your embroidery needle. Oh my god, he's looking so insane right now. Okay, and then grab it and then just sew. You know, to be honest, I don't really know how to sew. I'm just like guesstimating my way through all my amigurumi so far. Yeah, don't hate me because I don't know how to sew. Just go through like the mouth and then the head and the mouth and the head. Just like this. And also, like, if you want to hot glue this, definitely do that. The reason why I'm not hot gluing it is because I just want to be doing this for the tutorial, I suppose. And you might notice that when you're sewing this, it's a bit hard, just because like we kind of like worked it from over here, so this is like a very thick space. Yeah, so I'm at here right now. So another thing that I'm pointing out is that not sewing it like that, I'm actually just sewing it like this, just because it gives that illusion of like a mouth. So you can definitely sew it like this if you like that, but I want to sew it like a bit like this, so that's what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't know any single person who actually just like sewing. Honestly, like, I know people like embroidery, and I feel like that's a bit like this, except like the whole project is just sewing, and I'm just like, how does anybody do that? Okay, so this is where I'm at, and it looks still crazy, but that's okay. So so what I like to do is that so once I'm at the end, I just insert like the yarn or whatever, and then I just like push it somewhere. Things are really hard. My like stitches are so tight nowadays. Okay, so right here, and pull it tight, but not too tight that you're like actually shaping the head. So I'm just gonna cut it like that. Also, if you're not yet confident about the placement, you don't cut it just yet. But I am pretty confident. Whether or not it's warranted, I don't know. Okay, so that's the mouth. Now I want to do the snout. Place it somewhere here. Again, I feel like I'm just like guesstimating through all of this. That's why like I always get weirded out when I like write patterns, because I'm just like, I don't know, just guess how many where you're gonna have to put it. So like that. Okay, so I'm going to just sew them one by one. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm sweating right now. This is just becoming like a hangout, sew with me type of video. Honestly, you can skip all of this if you want to, but sometimes misery loves company, right? So that's what I'm doing. And now I'm just gonna sew it. Like this. Oops. Oh gosh, my stitches are so tight. Okay. Okay, and oh yeah, and make sure you're like actually like overlaying the mouth a little bit. And then okay, so I made my 360. And then now for this one, I'm actually going to, so for this one, similarly, I'm going to try to just insert this this over here and just put it out somewhere. And like that. And I'm actually not gonna cut it just yet, and you'll see later why once I do the other snout. So still have like a ton of yarn for the snout, and I think I have an excess, so I'm gonna cut it off. My second nose, well, not second nose, but like, you know what I mean, the muzzle, whatever. He's like a lion, right? Sorry, I never watched Bleach. Let's do that. And yeah, I kind of want to like overlay it a little bit with the mouth, and it's gonna be kind of hard, so do that. So yeah, like I said, if you want to hot glue this, you gotta hot glue, do it. Okay, so I made my 360, and then now I am just going to insert this like over here so that it's not like super visible, and then I'm actually going to try to get it out at the same hole that I got out my first white out, like that. And this is a very common technique where you just like tie it off like this, like that. So I like to do it twice just cuz. And then you cut it off, and then you just push down that knot inside the amigurumi, and just like, come on. Yeah, sometimes it's tough, and sometimes you accidentally put them in like 2 different holes. Okay, oh my god, it's not coming in. I'm telling you, my stitches are so tight lately. There you go. It went in, you guys, and then you got a little face now. It looks very cute. I do want to add the nose now, so I'm grabbing a brown colored yarn and putting it like this. And then now I want to do it over here, right? So you actually want to like insert it somewhere. We're gonna use the same, like similar technique to what we did with the white yarn, so that we like tied off and stuff. So I'm gonna like put it somewhere random, right? And then you just get in here. Oh my god. And then that, and then so that's like the nose essentially. And then you just insert over here, and then basically connect them. Oh my god, I don't know if like I'm the only one having like just like struggling with like the tightness of my stitches. Anyways, ta-da! And you got your cute little nose. And I kind of want to like do it one more time, maybe like yeah, actually like just 2 times in total I think is good. So on the very last time you're gonna do it, you're actually going to insert it back to the hole where you inserted the yarn, and make sure it's the same exact hole. I made way too many mistakes where it's not the same hole. So oh my god, he looks so done right now. Okay, don't worry about that. We can always like poof it off. And you got your little teeny nose. Isn't that cute? Alright, so this one, just cut it off like that, and add, just tie it over here, and similarly cut it, and then use your scissors or whatever, put it in. I'm just using the back of my embroidery needle because my stitches are way too tight to be using scissors. There you go. His face is done. Okay, I know that he still looks a bit crazy, probably because of my green eyes, but we're gonna add eyebrows later on. So, but for now, let's do his arms and legs, and let's sew them on. Okay, now I want to move on to the hand. I want to do something like this, like that. So I'm gonna pin where my hands are gonna go. This, and then I'm just gonna sew it on. Get this out of the frame. Sew it on. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, and when I'm done sewing the hand, or anything really, I just insert this yarn in like random places and making sure it's like super loose because I don't want to shape the amigurumi with it. Do this, and third time, so the charm. And then finally just cut it off. And there's my hand. And I'm gonna do the other one. And honestly, I'm not even sure if I need to be showing you all of this, because I think people definitely have different ways of sewing. But yeah, if you really do not know how to sew, maybe this can help you, but I don't know. Let me know if this is completely necessary or not. I'm gonna cut that. And I got the hand going. Zag, what are you doing? Ah! Okay, and for the leg, I'm gonna do this kind of like pose over here, like that. And this is what I got for the body. Next is the ears. So I feel like this is a good location. At the same time, you do want to make sure that there's still like enough space for the mane, so I think this is still a good location. So just want to make sure that it's like an even distance. So it looks like I'm putting the ear like 3 stitches from the center, so I'm gonna do that as well on here. So it looks like it's like somewhere in here and on the center like that. So yeah, let's sew them on. Okay, so this is what he looks like so far with the ears attached. And then now, you know what? I'm actually going to hot glue gun the mane because this is way too much work. But let me just show you how I'm configuring the placement. You really want like a middle piece here, and then you just consecutively put the next few ones on the next one, and then on the very last one you kind of want to slant it a bit so that it actually goes to the back of the head a little bit if you have space for that. And yeah, I'll meet you back once I have hot glue gunned the hair. I have hot glue gunned the mane, so here we're at. So it's okay if yours doesn't like meet up in the middle. If you want to do that, you can, but I mean, it doesn't have to end up in the middle. Now I want to put this on here, and remember the shorter one is the vertical one. So as you can see, this one, like, it doesn't like go all the way, so this must be the vertical one. So I'm going to hot glue gun this as well. You're definitely free to sew it, but I'm just gonna hot glue gun it, so I'll meet you back when I am done with that. I have done the back of the head. Now I'm gonna do the tail. Decided to sew it like in the middle point between the legs, so you can see. So it's like off center because the leg is off center. So I feel like that's where tails are supposed to be located anyways, right? Like in between the legs. So this is what I got so far. Now I'm gonna sew on the button. This is the button that I'm gonna have, and I'm going to cut off that excess yarn. And I'm actually going to use that black part to actually sew the button over here. So I'm going to insert this on a random location. Just like this. And then I'm gonna sew it on like that. Just have that. Oh my god. Ugh. There you go. And then another one right here. And it will exit over here. Ta-da! And you have your button. Just gonna cut this off and just tie it like this. And we put it in. And there we go. The only problem is that we have this like excess yarn over here, and we can't just cut this off because this is like, well, where our working yarn was. So I'm actually just going to lightly sew the button onto here. So I'm just gonna put sews, what is it called? I don't know. Sew points, whatever it's called, into the button. It's gonna be a bit tough because they're like so close together. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna do it like twice or 3 times. I don't know how many I just did, but I feel like this is good enough. And then I'm just gonna cut this off. There you go, and you got your little button. And oh my gosh, like, we're done basically, and the only thing left we need to do is to add these little details, like all of these lines. So you can definitely grab like a reference of con from somewhere and like detail these lines. So I'm gonna grab my embroidery floss, and if you do not have an embroidery floss, you can definitely just use a regular yarn for this.
So that is it. I hope you have your own con. And the only other thing that I forgot to mention was that I added these like blush on little con here just to add him more character. And the blush is just literally an eyeshadow that I have. I don't wear makeup a lot, so this is what I use my makeup for. I hope you enjoy your little con, and if you did end up making it, please tag me on Instagram at StimmyStimStim, and I would really love to see your work. And just remember that you and your art matter, so please keep creating. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye!